other stuff quicker. I don't feel like this is too complicated. I go one, boom, he steps back, okay? So I step. If you need some help, you can put this hand on the ground. It's just an extra step to do. But I go here, go to pick this one, he steps back. Instead of going back to this one again, which makes a fine drill, but for this drill, I'm gonna go one, I miss two. Now I put my hand on the floor instead of grabbing his ankle like this, and I step here, and I'm gonna swing this leg through this way and pull him forward, okay? So we go ankle pick, collar drag is the drill, okay? So I get to this position, I go ankle pick one, ankle pick two, collar drag, three, this way. On my collar drag, please don't fall on your shoulder, right? Don't go here, this way. It's more likely that even if he comes forward, he's gonna move over and just fall on top of you. If I go here and turn and get my forearm to the ground with the collar still in hand, then I'm facing him, right? I'm gonna come up to the top position. I'm gonna come to his back, okay? One more time. This is fine. Go here, up on my knee, up on my foot. I pick, he steps back. I pick, he steps back. I post, my posted leg, my kneeling leg here swings to the outside as I turn and face Alex here. This way. And look how Alex is falling on his forearms, not on his face, right? It's up to him. I mean, his partner's choice. I would recommend falling like Alex, so you get more reps. Okay. Questions about this one? Let's do it, guys. 1, 2, 3. If you're still trying to get the hang of like missing the first pick and then getting the second and figuring out like how to move efficiently like this, then stay there. If you're good up to the collar drag, then stay there. Because if this is too confusing, then don't do it. Which I hate giving that kind of instruction. I've always hated getting that kind of instruction. Because it's like when you're when you see like the court movies and it's like the jury will disregard the last information. It's like they already heard it. They're not gonna disregard it. I mean, they can't. All right, so look, if I go here and I go to pick and he steps back, right? I scoot forward, go pick, second side, here, no good. Now I'm gonna post, I'm gonna go to collar drag, and then remember that little monkey hop thing we were doing on the guard passing? I go to drag and he does that, and now he's over here. So now I've got to recover because I don't want him here behind me. Then I just helped him, I didn't drag him, I helped him pass my guard. So I'm gonna pick up my feet and use this to spin on my butt bones like that. And then I go here like that, okay? And then I go back to pick one, I miss, pick two, I collar drag, he hops, I recover, pick one, pick two, I drag, he hops, pick one, like that. And we just do that infinity times, right? Okay, makes sense? Let's try that a few times. After like 3 of those in a circle, then switch partners or switch roles for your partner. Okay, let's go 1, 2, 3. Whenever possible, I think it's a good idea to be able to take these bits and pieces. It's just like training the root of these things. Okay? I remember from the Spanish classes I had a long time ago, it was called like the bare infinitive whenever we would like learn different vocabulary. Because then you would have to conjugate it, and that got confusing. But this is like training a root that's like easily conjugatable. I'm losing the metaphor, but look, if we're here, and let's say that I wanted to do one of these ankle picks, right? Then a good way to do the ankle pick from here is if I can get my grips like this here, and then I might do something like fake over on this side, or fake on this side, whichever one, to get Alex to kind of pike his hips back. Because if I can see him kind of pike his hips back, I know that's a great time for me to do that ankle pick, right? So that's a good use of it. And likewise, if I'm here and I shoot for that ankle pick and he misses it, I want to be able to get that second one, like seamlessly. I don't want to have to be like, oh darn it, I lost it, let me start from scratch again. The transitions are what really improve your style, they improve your ability, right? It's not just that you learn a position, you learn a static thing. There's adjustments and everything you can make to get to feel correct, but it's the transitions where the art is, right? So likewise, if I get him here stepping back like that, now his shoulders are over his toes, that's a great time for me to come in and collar drag on him, right? So we're training these kind of 3 individual scenarios for takedowns, but we're chaining them together at the most important kind of key concept, and that's my ability to transition from this to this to this, right? And then cycle back. So anyway, I've explained this enough. Questions about any of these? There should be a lot because I didn't talk about the details a lot. Yes, sir.
When you have the collar here and you go to the collar drag,
Yeah.
which leg is shooting inside? Are you telling me?
For the yeah, good question. I like to kind of cast it wide because the more I stay in front of him, the more likely I am to go onto my back or my shoulder and then pull him almost into like a guard pass, right? If I cast this too narrow when I'm going here, I'm just gonna help Alex mount me or guard pass or knee on belly or whatever. So I don't want this. I wanna really swing out here because what happens then? This weight I have around his neck, I'm hanging on his neck like this by the collar. The farther I go out here, I remove any platform down here that he has for base, potentially, right? The more close I am to here, I'm helping with his base. So I'm gonna post this way. I wanna swing my leg out here, this way, right? I'm exaggerating a little bit. But I wanna turn and face him as I'm falling. You see what I mean? So that at a certain point, it becomes less about me pulling him and more about me just swinging on his collar, right? It's a really powerful takedown. And a lot of the principles in that are consistent to the arm drag too if you're playing no gi. So let's shift gears and talk about the guard position. So if we get here, I have Alex inside my closed guard this way. And I want to start from having him in a broken posture tonight. So the broken posture I want is him down like this. So one of my arms is being used to control his posture by hugging around his neck. The other arm is hugging his arm on this side, like this. Okay? My head is up on this side. Okay? Now I can, if I have this position and he's kind of static and I'm able to make this movement, I can choose whichever side that I want to go to. Sometimes he'll choose for me. Like if this is a striking situation, he can only hit me with this arm over here. So I'm probably gonna fill the space on that side so he can't hit me. But if I want to initiate this, what I'm gonna look to do is I'm gonna hip out over here on the side that I'm controlling his posture so I can get this in on his arm. I wanna scrape his arm down over my leg. And I'm using my forearm against his bicep and my elbow is wedging to create the space so I can bring my shin inside until my shin is against his bicep. This one can clamp down on his tricep now so that if he wants to pull back away from me, it's kind of stuck. I'm wrapped all the way around that arm. So this is a good position. Now, from here, I don't want to stay directly underneath him because he can still posture pretty well. And I don't want that to happen because it loses my work I just did. So I'm hipping out to the side here, and then I'm bringing this leg up, leading with my thigh, not with my foot this way, my thigh here. And I'm pushing. So as I do that, I should wind up in this position where I'm facing the side of Alex's head like that. And now I should be down here. I probably have to hold his wrist at this point. I probably can't keep holding his tricep very well. I'm being too stretched out. So instead I can slide back here now, right? Does this make sense so far? So from here I'm biting over. This heel and this knee are kind of trying to connect. I feel like it's pretty good whenever I can get this in front of his shoulder on that side, right? So the check for this is like, how easy is it for him to posture up? It should be pretty difficult for him to posture straight up. There's ways for him to get around it, but it should be difficult for him to posture straight up right away, okay? One more time. So we're here, right? I wanna make sure that I'm controlling. You can test it with your partner a little bit, see if they can touch your head with that hand or with the other hand, right? The more horizontal he is, a high guard is better. If the more postured up he is, a low guard is a little better, right? So if we're here, high guard, I'm wrapping up on the arm like this, right? I want to come inside, scrape here, and I want to shimmy out to the side on this direction over here where I'm hugging his head. And so now I'm holding his tricep, but I'm gonna have to float down to his wrist as I turn myself this way and I'm looking at him to the side of his head here, okay? We get up to here? Questions? All right, let's just go to there just a few times and then we're gonna build. Okay, let's go 1, 2, 3. So when we get here, I can't really get my elbow in without shimmying to my side, so there has to be a little preliminary shrimping movement. If you have to put your foot on the ground, it's okay. I prefer, if I can, to keep my legs up and use my thigh to just kind of hip out a little bit and then shoulder out a little bit if I need to, just to be able to get inside and scrape, right? And once I scrape this elbow inside and make the space, that shin is coming in, and I want to try to get my foot stepping on his hip here, right? Now, I don't want to stay underneath him, so I start to turn now. And I wasn't real specific about this arm that's on the back of his neck, what happens to it once I make the turn, and this leg kind of takes that job over of keeping his posture broken. So once I turn and I start to rotate and I'm sliding down his wrist, this leg is now helping to keep his posture broken, and this arm is hugging here. I don't have to wrap it or anything like that. I'm just keeping this monitor because I don't want him to get this free until I want him to get it free, all right? And then you can hug the leg if you want to. If you want to get fancy, go under your leg and hold his shoulder or grab his collar or whatever, that's cool. It's not going to really benefit us for what we're about to do. But for the most part, just monitoring the arm, hugging the knee, whatever. Alex can posture up, but he has to do it. He's not going to do it directly in front of me because he's off center. So he has to come up at an arc this way, you see. Now, because he has to do that, I can keep his hand away, right? So whenever he starts to posture up, I can keep this hand out here because he had to push off of it and separate his body from his hand, right? So once he goes to do that here, I use that space to open up and bring this leg inside. So this one comes off his hip and shoots up and inside. Does this make sense? Okay. Once I get this here, I want to bite to connect with my legs like this, all right? Next thing that happens, because I'm still hugging, kind of monitoring that arm, I want to start my rotation. What's my rotation look like? I'm squeezing, pinching with my legs. Let's make it simple first. We'll do it a bit easily. I'm going to lift my hips, pass this arm over this way. This is easier. Don't try to grab and move this arm. It's not going anywhere. I have to get it off the floor by lifting my hips first. I pass it over to this side, and I stick it in my pocket like this, right? And then I don't want, once this connection is made, I don't want to open, right? But I have to open it, so I close it back with my hand. Since this has to leave, I close it back with my hand. I put my foot on his hip. I rotate, rotate, rotate like this until I've got a good angle for a good bite on his neck. And then I pull this ankle here behind my knee and squeeze this way, okay? So if I just say do this, like get your shin in his bicep and then turn sideways, and then when he postures up, bring your leg inside and wrap his neck up, like you probably get it like 35 or 40% right, and that's a lot less details, right? But your triangle's gonna suck if you do that. So I lift here, pass, stick this in my hip, hold. If you can't reach your shin here, then grab his ponytail, right? Like that. If he doesn't have one of those, then grab something on his head here. And then I turn to rotate like this, get a little sideways bite, come here and squeeze everything inside. Right. Questions about this? What was that? Was it saying I don't have a question, or I do have a question, or I'm just waving at you? Okay. Anything, guys? No? Got it? Let's try it. 1, 2, 3. This is a triangle choke, or senpaku jime. There's 3 sides to a triangle, if you didn't know that already. And the 3 sides of this one are, one is my hamstring here against this part of his neck. All right, so we're talking about the branching of the carotid artery, the blood's flowing from here up to the brain and stuff. And this is smashing that carotid artery. Almost made myself cough. The other side, what's happening there? So we'll talk about this one, hamstring against his neck, calf against the back of his neck to seal it. The third side here is gonna be his own shoulder, right? That's why we're passing that arm, so that you see how that smashes in. And then when I bring my leg in to reinforce that here and close the triangle, that's what makes the choke, okay? So that's the 3 sides if it was unclear to anybody before. And that's what I need to have happen, because, and one of the most like misused terms that we use in Jiu-Jitsu is choke. It's not even a choke, it's a strangulation, right? So we're not restricting the airway per se, that's not the primary agent. I'm trying to cut off the blood flow as much as I can, constrict the blood flow to his brain. So we're strangling, not choking. This is the most powerful choke that you can do in Jiu-Jitsu, because I'm using the strongest muscles of my body, the strongest portions of my body, my legs, my butt, my core, my back. All this is centralizing right here around his head and his arm, right? And I'm using part of his own body too, reinforcing in that. So that's why this is such a great technique. This is truly like a strictly leverage-based technique. On every choke or strangulation, there's gonna be certain elements of it. And that's why we kind of use choking and strangulation interchangeably, other than just a language barrier. But there's gonna be elements of air, pain, and blood, right? There's gonna be constriction of air because I'm squeezing somebody's neck. Of course, it's gonna be harder to breathe. But it's not that we're trying to make them pass out from a lack of oxygen. Well, we are. Not from a lack of air, right? There's pain, but we throw that out for the most part. We never rely on pain, right? Pain at best is unpredictable. So we don't really care a whole lot about that. That doesn't mean pain's not extremely useful. Like, people stop fighting a lot because of pain, but people also fight through pain. So the results are across the board. It's a wash. I can't predict what your pain threshold is, different from his or different from yours. So those two are not really the thing. It's the blood, right? If you squeeze, you constrict the blood well enough, he should be asleep in a few seconds off of this, okay? That's what we want. All right, I'm not gonna keep going into my big diatribe about chokes and everything. I could, I want to, but I'm gonna stop myself. Questions about setting up the triangle this way? Again, we could just go like this. He could just be sitting here inside my guard and just leapfrog up like this here and pass it over and then squeeze, right? That's a triangle choke setup right there. But why are we doing all this other extra stuff? Because once we get to this position, we've got other things that we can do. You know, obviously, if this is a fighting situation, then I have striking ability from here. This is great, right? And you can drill a hole in his head with your elbow. But from here also, if he doesn't posture up, I still have other things that I can look to do, like going and attacking his arm. You can make sweeps, you can take his back. You got a lot of cool stuff you can do. So depending on the energy he gives me, the one we're looking at in particular tonight, once we get to this pyramid kind of structure like this, is to get the triangle choke because he's looking to posture up and face me. So when he does, I'm pulling this hand away, but I'm also rotating outward, right? Like this, like revving a motorcycle. Yeah, like it's that way, yeah? I don't have a motorcycle. So we go here, I pull my leg inside, and but I'm not flexible enough to do it. Well, I hear you. If you're not flexible enough to do it or you can't get enough space, tuck the hand inside instead, and then go here. Close that guard. Now lift, because if I try to pick his arm up, it's no good. I lift, pass that arm across here, grab your shin if you can, his head if you can't. Rotate, 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 rotate. Here. For you colorful belts in here, don't do this. Here. Everybody else is fine. Don't make a triangle with your legs on the triangle choke. Okay? Rotate your knee inward and put the inside knee on top of that shoulder there. And then close. Okay? It's way better. If you stop here, look at that gap. That space is never going to get any smaller. If I go here, there's no space. Okay? If you need that detail, then take it. Otherwise, disregard that information and forget that I said anything. Okay, questions about the triangle up to here? Let's do the same setup a few more times, guys. This is something that can't be drilled enough. This is very valuable. Okay? Let's go 1, 2, 3.